When you hunt these deer, you're opened up to a whole new world of deer hunting. That's what you're looking for. You can get picky and you can wind up eating your tag. I wasn't gonna let them pass. This deer's species goes all the way back to the Pleistocene age. It's millions of years old. You know, we've always been about white-tailed deer, and that's what we always will be about. But when you talk about deer and deer hunting, when you venture outside that range of whitetails, you're going to discover some things that are just downright fascinating. The axis deer is one of them. We have free-ranging axis populations in some small parts of North America, and when you hunt these deer, you're opened up to a whole new world of deer hunting. So let's take a look at the axis deer in North America, basically confined to two areas. You have South Texas mostly, and you have Hawaii. It comes from, the ones that we have come originally from India, places like Sri Lanka and Nepal. That's where that deer originated. This deer's species goes all the way back to the Pleistocene age. It's millions of years old, the species. It's its own species of deer, and it's very unique. It is a warm-blooded deer, and they live in these warmer climates. There's tens of thousands of them now because there's no natural predators over there. The habitat was really good for the deer. Now, some scientists are going to argue that the deer has wreaked havoc on that ecosystem, but the deer are still flourishing. Abundant hunting opportunities. In Texas, the axis deer was introduced in 1932 as what they call an exotic species for some of what people say these ranches. Well, when you think of ranches in Texas, a lot of people think high fences. Well, some of these high fences are multi square miles. Like we're talking 10, 20, 30, 40,000 acres and more in one contiguous block. So that's where these deer live. I've hunted them in Hawaii and I've hunted them in Texas, and I can tell you that they are among the smartest deer species. Their senses are extremely sharp. Their sense of smell, their sense of sight is equal, if not better, than a whitetail. The other thing that I've learned about these deer is their behavior is different than a whitetail in the fact that the bucks will roar during the rut, much like an elk roars during the rut, and they have harems of does, much like an elk will have harems of cows when they're rutting. But the neat thing about axis deer is they rut in the heat of the summer. I mean, you're talking June and July, super hot, especially in Texas. It can be 100 degrees. And for me as a hunter, as a deer hunter, it is a really nice reprieve, even though it might be warm, to be hunting deer in the middle of summer because the rut's going on. Because these deer do not have a biological clock, much like their white-tailed cousins, in the fact that these deer can breed year-round. Sometimes these does will have more than one litter. They normally only have one fawn, but they can have up to 2 fawns a year. They can give birth in spring, they can give birth in fall, and also the bucks will be coming in and out of velvet at various times during the year. So when you're hunting during the rut, you might be coming across velvet bucks, and you might be coming across bucks that have hardened antlers.
Deer and Deer Hunting is brought to you by
So now that we've learned a little bit more about axis deer, let's go see some in action. So on this Texas hunt, you know, the thing you need to understand about axis deer is they are completely wired differently than a whitetail. Those big bucks are ghosts. They just show up, and when they show up, their senses are so in tune. I'm gonna say way better than a whitetail's nose. And they're always nervous. They're always jittery. They're always checking the wind. The only time they really let their guard down is by feeders or water. In this case, we were hunting a nice big pond, which was very nice because you could see a lot farther than just a small little, like a hidden feeder or something like that. But also we had a lot of deer coming in. I look over my shoulder and there is a beautiful mature buck standing just inside the wood line. I just shot a big axis buck. He's a dandy. He's coming to the water. We're just gonna sit down, let this calm down a little bit, but yes. I love hunting in June. So I settled in, I made the shot. I thought it was a good shot, but after reviewing the footage, not so much. I plain out whiffed. I missed it. A swing and a miss, as they would say. But that wasn't the end of the hunt. Okay, she was standing right here. Yep, we got blood right here. Oh, we got really, really good blood. Look at this. This looks good. Nice big sprays. Right here, this is real easy to follow. Right through here. Let's see, right through here. Hang on. Okay, there's some there. Some right here. Here's a drop. Watch out for those red ants. Boy, she couldn't have gone very far. Right here. She's right there. Yes, we got one. We got a nice axis doe. You know what's really cool? It's almost a stigma. Look at that. You see the white spots. And as a northern hunter, I think fawn, but nope, I know that's the telltale sign of an axis deer. Look at, she bled really good. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the shot on film. That's the way it happens sometimes. These deer are so on edge that you can't even blink. There's so many eyes and ears that can see and hear you. But we have one, we're happy, and that's what deer hunting is about. It's about having fun and bringing home some prime venison. And let me tell you, axis venison is the best there is. And thankfully, I got to come back to Texas again and experience another axis hunt. So a couple years pass by, it's last year. I go back to Texas with Texas Trophy Whitetails. It's Keith and Steve Miller. They run an awesome place. It's free range, axis deer, a lot of other things too. And kind of the same scenario, no, it's summer, it's June, it's extremely hot, but that's when you hunt axis deer. And my goodness, we were not disappointed. So I'm in there, it's extremely hot, it's in the 90s, extremely humid. Get in there, Keith puts us in a great spot. I'm in a nice blind overlooking, actually it's a sendero, and there's numerous different types of deer coming through here. There's whitetails, there's axis, it's just an awesome experience. Sun comes up, and lo and behold, beautiful mature buck. And when you're hunting axis deer, that's what you're looking for. You can get picky and you can wind up eating your tag. Or you can just say, I want to enjoy the experience and I'm going to target a mature animal. That's what I was after. I wasn't going to let them pass. Okay, we got a good axis buck right here. He just came in. I had a little trouble with the camera. He's right underneath the feeder. There he comes out right there. I gotta have him stop. I need to have him stop right there. He can't shoot. He's got a white-tailed buck right in front of him. Right there. Nope. Right there. Well, that's just a beautiful morning. Rutting deer in the middle of June. It's something you really have to experience to at least once. Axis deer. You know, it happened very fast, and I just feel very blessed on this beautiful morning in Texas. Yeah, it's a little buggy. Yeah, it's a little hot, but it's deer hunting. And not only deer hunting, it's rut time hunting on just gorgeous, gorgeous axis deer. And the best part, this is the best eating deer there is. Well, let's get them back to camp. So if you're a die-hard whitetail hunter like me, I know you are because you're watching this show, axis deer is a way to extend your season because you're doing it at times when you're not even going to be thinking about whitetails. Like I said, it's in the summer. But the thing about axis deer, it's not that expensive of a hunt. It's actually extremely affordable. There's only a couple places you can do it though, and Texas is a very good place to experience it. I would suggest looking into it if you want to extend your season and really enjoy all types of deer hunting.
Deer and Deer Hunting is brought to you by
So a tactic I always use when I'm gun hunting, I gotta have a good pair of binoculars with me, and I have to have a good rangefinder with me. Gun hunting, especially with a slug gun, 20 gauge slug gun, I can shoot that very accurately out to about 120 yards, but I need to know my limits. So what I do, the second I get in the blind, like everybody does, I'm gonna range my field edges. That's 93, 109 to the miscanthus over there, 133, and 174. The trap you could get caught in is if you see a deer there and you've already ranged it. Now this one's not a problem because it's only 93 yards. But when I get out to this one here and I range it, it's at 133. I'm like, oh, I gotta hold high. Well, that's to the cover. So what you gotta understand is the deer normally aren't standing right on the edge of the cover. Normally they're a little bit closer. So chances are if a deer shows up over here, it's gonna be right in my range, like right at about 125. But when I get the deer to those farther distances, yes, I'm gonna make sure I not only range them so I know exactly what, you know, how far they are if they're within my range, which I'm setting at 125 for my limit, but also I make those visual notes, exactly where the deer was standing, exactly how far it was right before I shot. That way, it's gonna help me find that blood trail if the deer runs off. If I make a double long shot or worse, I'm gonna know exactly where it was because I just walk out there, range back to the blind, and I know the distance. And then with my binoculars, you gotta have a good pair of binoculars. Gun hunting, identifying does, identifying bucks that you can or can't shoot if you have a limit on you. If you don't have a limit, at least you can watch them. Good thing to have optics with you, both ends. The anatomy of an arrow. It's very fascinating. Anatomy of a crossbow arrow, a crossbow bolt, if you want to say it that way. It's simple, but there's a lot that goes into especially today's crossbow arrows. Simple when you look at it. Short little arrow, meant for bow hunting, but there's a lot that's built into these technology-wise these days that you might not know. So when you're looking at construction of arrows, for the most part, you're looking at some type of carbon composite that is put in today's crossbow arrows. There's differences. Most of them are going to come around 400 grains. You're going to find some that are going to be 455, 460 grains. Just the arrow, fletched, good to go, right? Well, you know, you can increase that weight. You can have a brass insert, which is optional. You can have different types of fletchings. That's going to adjust. What type should you use? That's really a personal question that you have to answer depending on the type of hunting that you do. But let's look at this arrow first. 3.5-inch fletching. What's the difference between that and a 2-inch fletching? This is going to stabilize that arrow downrange farther, so you're going to be able to maybe shoot farther, especially if you practice. The other thing that you need to understand is you're going to have a broadhead on here that's going to add 100 grains to it. So now you're pushing 500, 555 grains, plenty enough energy there with your arrows. But again, you have to shoot these things. There is no recipe. I cannot tell you to go out and buy this arrow with that insert, these fletchings, and you're going to be good to go. That doesn't work that way. It depends on the type of crossbow you're using, the speed, all that types of things, how you're going to be hunting. The other thing that I'm going to recommend, the nock is extremely important, especially today. You have to go with the manufactured recommended nock. And on some of these super fast crossbows, especially like the 10-point crossbows, an alpha nock looks kind of similar to a regular nock, but those are built for those high energy bows that are really pushing that kinetic energy. On the surface, they look simple, but you really need to do your research and tailor that arrow for your type of hunting.
Hi, I'm Dan Schmidt. For more tips, strategies, and hunting action, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Thanks for watching Deer and Deer Hunting TV.